Thank you for joining me today. For everyone out there, my name is Jennifer Irving, and I am the new president of Western Ontario Waterways Regional Council. And as a new president, I'm probably what I am most concerned about is my ability to chair a regional council meeting and specifically wade my way through any proposals that might come my way. And so I thought I'll ask Mark, he's been pretty practiced at it. And also thought, oh, there might be some other people in the regional council that also have some questions about proposals and stuff. And I thought we can record something that we can share with the regional council to help everyone get a better understanding of proposals, how they work, what we're supposed to do with them, all that stuff. So what do you think, Mark?
That sounds great. President Jennifer had asked me about this, so I prepared a proposal to share with you all at this time.
Mark, when we're actually at the regional council meeting, will people get a shared screen like this?
That would be the goal. Practice has been, if we receive the proposals before the workbook goes out, the proposals will also be in the workbook, so people will have a chance to look at them. And that's really is the better way to do it if we can, because it gives people more time to digest the proposal, to read it, to think about it, to pray on it. But we understand that sometimes things happen during a regional council meeting that make people want to put forth a proposal last minute. And if we have received it in this format, then the hope is that we will be able to share the screen so that people can see it as well. The reason we do a proposal as opposed to just bringing forth a motion is the idea behind it is that it tries to give us a little bit more background information around what is the issue, why does the person bringing the proposal forward feel that this issue is important, and then it's suggested ways forward. And part of the reasoning for this is a lot of times when we had a motion, we'd get really stuck in the language of the motion without really dealing with what the motion was asking us to talk about. And so generally speaking, what will happen is the proposal will come forward and someone will share the proposal, and then we would go into questions for clarification. A proposal that I've written, so there's a title, you can see who is bringing it forward. So the title, I just put Unity in Apparel. I am presenting it. I've just chose a random date, and it's proposal number 1 because on this video call we only have one proposal, and it's going, which is fortunate, and it's going to Western Ontario Waterways Regional Council. So what is the issue? So the combination of the restructuring of the United Church of Canada and a global pandemic within the first 19 months of that restructuring has led to a sense of loss of identity for the people who make up Western Ontario Waterways Regional Council. That's the issue. So part of the issue is to try to make it succinct and clear as to what it is that this proposal is trying to address.
What if we wanted to do a proposal that was going to go to general council? Can you still do those?
Yes, we can. But we would have to pass it first ourselves. And generally those proposals only come in a general council year, because that's when people are thinking about it. But yes, at the last general council, I think Western Ontario Waterways put 2 proposals, maybe 3, to general council. That we would have passed at a regional council meeting, and they went on to general council. So yes, why is this important? Is that we want people to feel connected. We want people to feel like we are one body of Christ, kind of moving in the same direction, maybe pulling at different spots. We're not expected all to be exactly the same, but kind of moving in the same faith direction. The wording I had here, rooted in a unity of spirit. And sometimes for people to feel that connection, one way to do that is to do things that help us feel as one. And so the suggestion of this to help us do that is to wear similar clothes at all the regional council meetings. And so my proposal is, what better way to do that than we request that all members wear Toronto Blue Jays apparel during our regional council meetings. We have what Western Ontario Waterways might do is the regional council might request that people wear some form of Toronto Blue Jays apparel during all regional council meetings, excluding the celebration of ministry service. And if someone does not own any Toronto Blue Jays apparel, offer to subsidize the purchase by $20 per individual.
So proposal's been presented.
Yes.
And that, like, as the presenter of the proposal, you would read that, what we might do. And then I would say questions for clarification.
So the point of a question for clarification is to help you understand what this proposal is asking us to do.
Right. So a question for clarification might be, okay, it says Toronto Blue Jays apparel. So like if I'm wearing socks, does that count? Or does it have to be like a t-shirt or
right. So that would be, you're right. That would be a question for clarification. And so the clarification would be, yes, apparel is any kind of clothing, hat, shirt, jersey, socks, shorts, whatever, helmet, whatever you would like to wear would be the apparel. So that is a question for clarification, correct?
Another clarifying question for this proposal might be around, like, where is the $20 coming from? Is that a clarifying question?
Correct. That would be a clarifying question. Where would we get the subsidy from? And so, we have this fund that has this much money that we're allowed to draw from. This is where we would be offering to subsidize. So another clarifying question would be, are we just sending $20 to everybody so they can buy something? The answer is no. It's only if it's an offer to subsidize. So someone would have to request the subsidy in order for us to send them the money.
Now, what if someone came up to the microphone and they were like, $20 per individual, that we have this many people in our regional council meeting, that would be this much money. Where's that money going to come from? I mean, because it just feels like that might have a bit of an opinion attached to it. Like
for that's something that you as the president and chair of the meeting, you get to make a discretionary call on. Does it feel like a clarifying question? Does it feel more like opinion? And you get to decide on that as to whether we answer that question at that point or later. In my opinion, if someone was to come and say, okay, so how many people do we have in the regional council? If everybody needed money, how much money would that be? And where would that money come from? Those are all clarifying questions. If someone was to come and say, how many people are in the regional council? 150. Okay, times that by 20, that's how much money? Okay. I don't think, no longer a clarifying question. Right? So the information is a clarifying question, but then they're giving an opinion after they receive that information.
The same person could ask like 10 clarifying questions if they needed to.
If they needed to, that would be something that we would look at, though, as the lineup of people, of hands raised, or if we're in person, people standing there. And you generally try to go to different people and not give one person 10 questions in a row.
Okay, so once you get all the clarifying questions answered to everyone's satisfaction, and the proposal is very clear now, yeah. What do I do next?
Okay, so after that, what happens is we just do a check that people are okay and comfortable with the language and the wording that is in here. Maybe someone might want to say in number 2, someone does not own any Toronto Blue Jays apparel, offer to subsidize the purchase by $20 per individual person. Because someone might think, oh, you get $20 per individual piece of apparel that is being asked. So that's a clarifying question, but someone might want to put that extra language in at this point to say, we'd like to actually include that to make it more clear as to what it is. Once people are generally comfortable with the language that's here, again, not necessarily, we're not asking for opinion of whether you agree with it or not, but at this point, we're asking for the language makes sense. We then move to having someone move and second it. Usually the person presenting the proposal will do that.
Okay, so for the clarifying questions, no one's even moved and seconded it yet.
Not yet, because once something's been moved and seconded, it then becomes much more challenging to change the language to do different things. We move into our official parliamentary procedure.
During the clarifying questions, changes can be made. So this is
Yes.
where you might add in, the money will come from this place, or
yeah, if it's a clarifying question, changes can be made. Where the money would come from, if that needs to be added in, if it needs to be added in, like I said, per individual person, as opposed to something else that could be it.
All right, so now someone moves and seconds it.
Right. So after that, we then can have a discussion of, do you actually like this proposal? Does it make sense? Be the time to have that conversation. And for this proposal, some of that conversation could be, well, we also have a national basketball team, so maybe it should be Toronto Blue Jays or Raptors, because there's one basketball team and one baseball team for the entire country. So perhaps and their colors are kind of similar. So perhaps we should do that. It could be that they want to add a hockey team in. It could be, this would be where someone might say, I like the idea of everyone wearing the same thing, but I think it could be something, because it goes along with the president's theme. Maybe we do a fundraiser, and that would be a whole different of, like, we want a different apparel that we're all going to wear, like a scarf or something. This is where you can have opinion pieces. And so for the opinion, this one where, generally speaking, the same person doesn't give multiple opinions, right? You have one chance to kind of say something. You try to keep it brief, because we have a lot of other people. Try to keep it succinct. This is for where you're speaking for or against this proposal.
And this is where I would say, I might remind people, like, if they've already heard someone speak to it in a similar way that they were planning to speak to it, to maybe, just monitor that themselves, so that we don't have everyone saying 10 different people coming up and saying exactly the same thing.
Yes. And I believe
at some point you'll do like a warm cold thing.
You can, yeah. Like even you'll do a warm cold thing before you get to this point. If people do want to change some of the language in it, then you can do a warm cold. Are people comfortable with this change of language? Or if the person presenting the proposal is comfortable with it, then you can change the language that way. And yeah, you can call for a warm cold vote whenever you want, to try to have an idea of, especially if it feels like we're getting to the same sort of the same part. You could call for a warm cold of, like, do people feel ready to vote on this, right? And if you get a lot of yeses, then it's like, if you have 90% of people saying, yes, we're ready to vote on this, then maybe you can take one more piece of opinion, and then, or speaking for or against the proposal, and then move from there.
Okay. And what if things are getting like a little bit contentious? Like, people are starting to say things like, I hate the Blue Jays, and I don't like you very much, Mark, for suggesting this.
And then you, as president, can remind people of our holy manners, and ask, as president and chair of the meeting, you are allowed to ask people to, calm down, for lack of a better term, and understand that we're just talking about the for or against this proposal. And so you are welcome to vote against it if you don't think it's important, or you don't feel it's the right thing for us to do as a regional council. You are welcome to do that. But let's keep to our holy manners. Yeah, keep to our holy manners while we're discussing it. Okay. And then you would call for the vote.
It will be like a poll.
There will be a poll, and for this sort of thing, because it's a yes or no, it'll just be there'll be two options for the poll.
We're talking about, for our fall meeting, having some time in the agenda where we can talk about issues and have like sort of a general discussion about things that are going well, things we'd like to see. Would this be a spot where this could come up instead of having it be a proposal?
Yes, there's one of the reasons why I chose this idea is because it's actually not an idea that should be a proposal. And I'm glad you brought that up, because we are hoping moving forward with our meetings that we do have space to have conversations, that it doesn't have to be as formal as the only way we can talk about this and address it is to bring it forth in a proposal. We are going to be able to give some space to have those conversations. And this would be something that I feel like could come up in that kind of conversation to say, hey, we'd like to try to be more unified in what we're doing. Maybe the executive or maybe someone can think about ways that we might be able to do that. Also, because this is a request, it doesn't necessarily have to go out as a proposal, right? Because we're requesting people do something. We can request people do something without it being a proposal, right?
Right.
You
could just say, hey, for the next meeting, everybody, we're on Zoom. Oh, especially because it is part of our meeting will be the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. I could say, like, on Saturday, if everyone could wear orange, that would be wonderful.
Yep, and it's just a request. It doesn't have to come as a proposal. Because this had the second part of wanting to subsidize the purchase, that means it does have to be a proposal because of the money involved. But this whole idea probably would be better suited coming up just in this regular conversation where we can kind of talk about ideas. And the hope is that maybe then those ideas can get fleshed out a little bit. And if there is a proposal that needs to be made, maybe that can be brought to the next meeting, because then it will be ready for the workbook and people will have a chance to have looked at it, as opposed to proposals that do come in right at the deadline for new business, which then just makes it harder for people to fully understand and to fully have had time to think about those proposals as well. This wouldn't have to be a proposal except for the money aspect, but the concept, what's the issue and why is the issue important, and the idea behind it is something that could just be a general conversation.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. And this has helped me. I'm going to be ready for proposals that come before our fall meeting. Fingers crossed.
Perfect. That sounds great. I was happy to help.